All right. All right. We're here for the regular meeting of the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners, Tuesday, August 6th, 2024, 5 p.m. The meeting's been called to order. May we have a roll call?
Commissioner Frill?
Here.
Commissioner Laird? Commissioner Laird?
Present and accounted for.
Commissioner Milne?
Here.
Commissioner North?
Here.
Chairman Nicolason?
Here. At this time, we will make the announcement of the renewal of the County Commissioner Scholarship. We're pleased to renew the scholarship to Emily Burkle and wish her the best in her continued educational adventures. So best of luck. At this point, we will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16.4405A2 and Wyoming Statute 16.4-405A12.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Friel, seconded by Commissioner Milne. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We're in executive session and we plan to return at 5:30. All right, we are back from our executive session. I apologize for being a few minutes late. Let's please stand for the pledge. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda with removal of item C for further discussion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded with the removal of item C. Council, we also did talk about the address on the lease agreement, item M. Are you just going to substitute a correct address at a later point?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was my plan.
Okay, so then I think we're okay on that one. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The consent agenda items have been approved. There are no contracts, agreements, resolutions separately to be discussed. So we move into item 8, our public hearing, which is the proposed application for transfer of ownership of a full retail liquor license from Tavern doing business as Mile High Tide Inns to BFS Official LLC. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the transfer of ownership of liquor license. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. Madam Clerk, may we have a report?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, an application was submitted July 11th, 2024 for a transfer of the retail liquor license currently held by Tavern LLC, DBA Mile High Tide Inns, located at 1650 English Drive. The proposed transfer would be to BFS Official LLC, doing business as Shotguns, and the proposed location is 1910 Talc Road, Casper, Wyoming. This transfer will not exceed the limited number of licenses per incorporated city or town. The application is complete and all required advertising has been submitted. With that, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for the clerk?
Are the documents for this proposed transfer in order?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Laird, yes, they are.
Thank you.
And
I would normally have a question for the county attorney as well on these, so I'll go ahead and ask that. Madam County Attorney, from the documentation you've seen, is this matter in legal order?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Laird, I believe that our staff's review of the application and the documents indicate that the application is complete and everything appears to be in order.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you know, how long has the operation been open at the present location at the Mile High Tide Inns address?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to say less than a year.
And did anyone give you, and this is going to go back out to where the former Rax location is?
That is the proposed location, yes.
And we're being asked to approve not only a change of transfer of ownership, but also a change of location, right?
That is correct.
Have there been conversations with any of the parties, Madam Clerk, with what the reason for the change of ownership and/or location is?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I personally have not had any conversations with the current owners or the applicant. I do know the current owners of Tavern LLC have submitted an application for a restaurant license. And that's about all the information that I have.
We entered into an agreement with Tavern LLC that restricted, had certain restrictions in terms of the nature of the operation and the involvement of Mr. Sonny Pilcher, the lack thereof. Has that been proposed to be adopted by this new applicant for this old location?
Mr. Chairman, I would defer to county legal on that. The applicant does know of the restrictions that were placed on Tavern LLC at the time of that approval.
Okay, I got to press then. They know of the restrictions. Was there any discussion of whether they would adopt those?
There was no discussion to be had on that, no.
Okay. Commissioners, other questions for the clerk?
I do need a clarification, because I've forgotten. Were the restrictions on the license or just on Tavern LLC?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to defer to county legal on that.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if Jared is aware. I don't have, I wasn't here at the time that was approved, so I don't recall what the restriction.
My restrictions is the owner signed it as saying that he would not do certain things there, but I never understood it to be an actual restriction on the license itself. It was something, I don't think it's required under the statute or allowed under the statute, but that particular person answered questions and said certain things, and I think his wife's the one who signed the document, if I'm not mistaken, but it has been a while back. But I think that we need to know if there was any thought that that was a restriction on the license as opposed to a restriction on those persons. And I think they were those persons myself, but I could be wrong.
Commissioner Laird, I think you're right that it was on the licensee, the specific licensee of that license, given this, I guess, the special concerns that this commission had discussed and some of the public comment that we received at the time.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I did pull up the document, and it appears that the restrictions are put on the premises and the type of business that would be allowed at the location. Also speaks to the uniforms of the employees and prohibits particular individuals from being financially part of the business, that type of thing. So
Very good. Any other questions for our clerk or legal?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Commissioner Milne.
Madam Clerk or County Attorney, this BFS Official LLC, is it a Wyoming business?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne, as far as I'm aware, yes.
Do we know who the owners or officers of this business is?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Milne, Logan Kaufman,
And that's the sole owner?
that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions from the commissioners. So at this time, I would ask for those individuals wishing to speak in favor of the transfer of the ownership of the liquor license and the location to please approach the lectern.
Natrona County Commissioners, my name is Logan Kaufman. My address is 1123 Beaumont Drive, Casper, Wyoming, and I'm applying for the transfer of the liquor license owned by Tavern LLC to 1910 Talc.
Good evening.
How are you guys?
Good.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here. You're speaking in favor of the application?
I am applying for the application.
Okay. And speaking on behalf of the application, do you have anything you'd like us to know?
No, I'm here to answer any questions for you guys.
Questions for Mr. Kaufman? Mr. Kaufman, what's your background?
I have a landscaping business for the last 10 years. I flip houses on the side.
And are you, my understanding is that your father is Jim Kaufman?
That is correct.
And my understanding is that he was involved in the purchase of the Rax property after or during the foreclosure?
I am unaware of any of that information.
Okay, and my understanding, who's the current owner of the property? Because my understanding, you're going to be leasing the property.
As far as I know, it's Tavin LLC.
Kevin LLC was the owner of the real estate?
Oh, no, excuse me. That's going to be Wyoming Security Properties. I
And
apologize.
who are the principals of that entity?
What does that mean?
Who are the owners of that entity?
Leslie Burridge?
Lisa
Excuse
Bur-
me. Lisa
Lisa
Burridge
Burridge.
and Leslie Bauer.
Okay. Lisa Burge, the realtor in town?
Yes.
Do you intend to open up a strip club at the Rax location?
I'll be honest with you guys. Everything, I'm entertaining all possibilities. I haven't really decided on what I'm going to do. I was just going to see if I could get this transferred into my name, first of all.
Are you aware of the law enforcement's challenges during the time that this property was operated by Mr. Pilcher at that Rax location?
I am unaware.
The 170 some calls that the sheriff's office had, according to its logs, to that property. You're not aware of that?
I am not aware of that.
Are you aware of Mr. Sonny Pilcher?
I am aware of Sonny Pilcher, yes.
Is Mr. Pilcher involved in this business?
No, there's a possibility he could be, though.
Okay. Describe for me what you mean in terms of what his role might be in the future.
Possibly a manager. I'm not sure. Like I said, there's a lot that I need to figure out, but I wanted to make sure we could get this transferred first and foremost.
Other questions for Mr. Kaufman?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Milne?
Thanks for coming in, Mr. Kaufman. Do you have, my understanding from you is that you do not have a business plan for this bar. You're just after the license for right now?
I do. I'm entertaining possibly a Western Grill, gentlemen's club.
Okay.
I mean, I've got ideas, but I didn't want to waste my time or anybody else's time unless I knew this transfer was going to be completed.
Okay. Do you have any, are you looking at the financial responsibility? Liquor licenses are you know, they're for the community, basically. You know, there's a lot of different components to it. So considering the financial responsibility behind it, not wanting to see a business just flounder or fail, do you have the financial backing to open up a bar, whether with the grill, with the taps, with all the different liquor components that you might need?
Yes, sir, I do. I have a private investor backing me.
Okay. Would you mind answering who that is?
No, I'm not willing to.
Okay. And if you're unable to, for some reason, be able to move into the Rax establishment, do you have a backup for where you want to move?
No, I do not, sir.
Okay.
I already have a lease agreement with
You
that
do have
address.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
So I do have a question. Is Sonny Pilcher your financial backer here?
Absolutely not.
The concern of the commissioners with any liquor license is what people are going to do with it and whether it's legal. So do you intend to run a legal business?
Yes, absolutely.
I know that the dancing issue, the pole dancing issue was an issue with Tavin before. So I did do some research on that, and I think the Supreme Court has ruled that's not an illegal activity. Among other things that surprised me about the bar business. But our concern is that we don't give the license to somebody who's gonna just have trouble with the sheriff's department and calls and all of that, because, you know, we do have the right to not give that license back on following occasions. So we watch that very carefully. We're not going to, we just don't want certain, I guess I'd have to be honest, certain people involved. And I'm sure you're aware of the Sonny Pilcher issue. He applied for the license and wasn't able to get the license. And so there's a whole lot of things involved in that. But I happen to know who you are. I know you're a fine young man, and I know that you're an honest young man. Were you born here in Casper?
Yes, sir.
And your granddad owned a ranch, and your great-granddad owned a ranch. You've been here for a long time, I think, haven't you?
Yes, the Kaufmans have been here for a while.
How old are you?
31.
So you went to high school here?
Correct.
Which one did you go to?
Natrona County.
Well, that was the only high school available when I went, so I always say, you know, NC rules, but I think KW rules also. Are you married?
I am not.
Can you sense that the commission is concerned with this whole thing?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I haven't followed through with a completed business plan or anything like that. Like I said, I want to make sure that the transfer of this license goes through so that I can get my ducks in a row.
What do you think the most detrimental thing that you said about this is?
That I have said,
That you said, yes.
I'm not sure.
That you were going to have Sonny Pilcher maybe run the place.
There is a possibility as a manager.
Well, I can say you're honest about that.
I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I mean, he managed the Rack Strip Club for however many years. He's got experience in it, but I'm not saying that he will be managing. Like I said, there's a possibility. I would like to interview a few people.
Is he
But-
going to have any kind of ownership, any kind of say in this at all?
No, sir.
I yield to Mr. Friel.
Any other questions for Mr. Kaufman? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any others wishing to speak in favor of the transfer of ownership and location of this liquor license, please approach. Last call for anyone else in favor of transferring the ownership of the liquor license, please approach. All right, at this time, I'd ask for those individuals wishing to speak in opposition of the transfer of ownership of liquor license, please approach.
Good evening. I'm Steve Winship. I'm here not only as a lawyer for my client Monty Elliott, but also as a concerned citizen. And I heard a lot of questions asked, and the answers were pretty uncertain. What is this business going to be? What we heard was, well, I don't know. I want to wait until you guys actually give us some sort of okay or whatever. Why would you be putting this kind of money into this is one of the 6 Mile licenses. These are one of the most valuable licenses that are there. And you're going to put this money in there and just, gee, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Consider also that the Racks Club there there's been no renovations to the floor plan. It is set up with stages. It's set up for a strip club. Who is this backer? I think that would be very interesting to know, because if you'll remember, Mr. Pilcher, when he was running racks, where was he able to obtain the various flow of strip dancers? And if you'll remember, he got his club involved with a organized crime. It was called the Outlaws, a motorcycle gang. Is that what we're going to do? I mean, this really looks like we're going back to a strip club situation. And are we going to condone this same situation where we ended up having these girls trafficked from Las Vegas or wherever the outlaws were bringing them in? Let's look at it. There's so many coincidences here that let's list them. So this Tony McMillan, the principal of Taubman, he was the right-hand person for Sonny Pilcher. He helped manage racks. This commission put these restrictions on this license. I think that they're out of, or I guess we put it on the business. I appreciate the nicety of that. I would hope that as we look at this, we'll want to put those similar restrictions on anything that goes on. I'll return to that. But another coincidence is Logan Kaufman is the son of Jim Kaufman. Jim Kaufman was the longtime financial partner of Sonny Pilcher. That's how Rax was able to run, as well as helping Mr. Pilcher finance many of his construction activities. Mr. Jim Kaufman continues through one of his entities to provide Sonny Pilcher a place to live. And let's look at how this whole situation came about, that Lisa Burridge or Wyoming Secure Properties ended up with this. A couple months before the trial, where Monty Elliott was suing Jim Kaufman, among others, for fraudulent conveyances. These were conveyances from Mr. Pilcher to Jim Kaufman, or one of his entities. Mr. Kaufman decided to foreclose on the property out there at 1910 Talc. And lo and behold, who was it that ended up as the $1 above the mortgage amount? Who was the successful bidder? Well, it was this entity, Wyoming Secure Properties, that is now acting as the lessor of this property. So now this liquor license is going back to the old Rax location. And we don't know what kind of bar it's going to be. We don't know what kind of management experience. From what I could tell, Logan Kaufman has never managed a bar. He's been in the landscape business and flipping. And all of a sudden, he thinks that going into the bar business is a good deal. And I appreciate that Mr. Milnes tried to warn him that there were some issues there going on. There's just too many coincidences and connections here. And so I would hope, if we're going to continue with these doubts, these unanswered questions, that you would, if you're going to approve this transfer, which I don't think you should, I think that there should be restrictions on it. And those restrictions, I suggest, are: one, that it not be a strip club; two, that Sonny Pilcher cannot have any involvement in it, no management, anything like that, or a financial interest. And finally, I'm hoping that we can do something that allows us some way to pull this license back, other than just the 1-year renewal or 2-year renewal, in case these are violated. Because you're probably aware that a lot of these restrictions that were put on Taubman, it was a wink and a nod. They were ignored. So I appreciate your attention. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to take them.
I have just one question or two.
Any questions, Commissioner Laird?
You're a fair man. I've known you a long time. I've known your father a long time. So I want you to ponder this question. If you really believe that Sonny Pilcher didn't have anything to do with this now, would you have come in tonight?
Yes, I for the other reason is, I'm sorry, I'm so used to the courtroom that I.
Us lawyers act like this is the courtroom, Jim. We tried a lot of cases in here.
Well, no, I can still see Harry Lineback sitting right behind you guys.
So you're a man of the law. Do we have to follow the law?
Well, Dallas, let me finish answering the question. So yes, I don't think Sonny Pilcher is somebody that should be involved. But I also don't think the county commission wants to be said that they approved a strip club in Casper. You have an opportunity to stop that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here as the concerned citizen. Let's not have your names associated with the approval of a strip club that was also associated with organized crime. That's not how you get elected.
Counsel, you're not answering my question. I think we're highly capable of understanding that. But this isn't an application for a strip club. This is simply an application for a liquor license. Now, what business they do is another matter. We have to follow the law, wouldn't you agree? We have to follow the law.
I think you also need to follow your
Okay,
past
but hear me.
precedent.
We have to follow the law.
Yes.
We can't discriminate against people just because they know somebody, or they've met somebody, or they've been on the grounds of something. Now, I don't think any of us really would prefer to have a strip club, but that isn't illegal from what I can tell. And I've had the county attorney look into it. She could probably comment on it. Not going to ask her to, but we can't involve ourselves in government overreach because somebody's mad at some guy that they may or may not know. And this young man comes in and, other people would have said Sonny Pilcher wouldn't have anything to do with this. And I think he told us the truth about everything I heard from him. So I don't know, I can't speak for the other commissioners. All I can do when I look at these things is, I've said this before in this room. I'm a lawyer, so I'm sworn to uphold the laws of the state of Wyoming and the United States Constitution. And then I take an oath, as they all have, as being a county commissioner. And we can't discriminate against people. We just can't do it. And I understand you've been in a lot of litigation with them and all of that, and I assume the litigation is over with. But I'm going to be fair to people, you included, the young Mr. Kaufman included, and I understand the concerns that the commissioner has, but at this point, I'm assuming all of your lawsuits are over with.
That's incorrect.
Okay, so do you have?
Commissioner Laird, do you have questions for Mr. Winship?
I'm almost finished. Do you have any litigation going on with Mr. Kaufman?
No.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Laird. Mr. Winship, one of the things that we have to look out for and that we are entitled to do is protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. How do you think the health, safety, and welfare of the community would be impacted by the transfer of this liquor license to this new owner and at this new location?
I think there needs to be more inquiry, more answers before you actually decide that. I don't think you're in a position to make any policy decisions on how the health, safety, and welfare will be affected. I would suggest that we have either firm commitments from Logan Kaufman as to what Sonny Pilcher's role is going to be. Let's find out if the investor is somebody like Jim Kaufman, and whose ties to Sonny Pilcher we can't deny. And to Commissioner Laird's point, said, do we need to follow the law? Yes, we need to follow the law. And I'm presuming that is exactly what this commission did last year when it put the restrictions on this very license. So I'm thinking that you can do the same, and obviously you didn't want to violate the law last year. Go ahead and put restrictions on this, such as the strip club restriction, any other thing you think will help advance the health, safety, and welfare of this community.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Winship? Thank you. Any other individuals wishing to speak in opposition of the transfer of ownership and location of the liquor license, please approach. Last call for any individuals wishing to speak in opposition of the transfer of ownership and location of the liquor license, please approach. There being no one else to speak for or against the transfer of ownership of liquor license, I now declare the public hearing closed. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of obtaining legal advice.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we go into executive session for legal advice.
It's been moved by Commissioner Norris, seconded by Commissioner Milne to go into executive session for the stated purpose. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in executive session. Thank you. All right, we're back from our executive session. We have before us the proposed transfer of the Tavern LLC liquor license. The public hearing's been closed. I'd entertain a motion on the application.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Mel?
I don't really like to do this, but I'm going to make a motion to deny the transfer based on lack of information that I feel that we've received from the applicant.
It's been moved by Commissioner Milne to deny the application. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and second that for discussion.
It's been seconded by Commissioner North for discussion. Commissioner North?
As few of these licenses as we have out there, I think it's important that we have a business plan. We need the information. We need all the information because there's just not that many of these licenses that are available in the county. And it's not saying that we're have anything against what your plans are. We just need to know what they are. And that's really the biggest thing. And so, I mean, having the liquor license, a full liquor license out in the county, especially this close to town, there's just not that many of them. And we just need to have a little bit more information on that, and the lack of information that we have right now, I just don't feel like it's sufficient for us to grant that at this point in time. It's not saying that you can't come back in the future. We're just saying right now.
Other discussion?
I have a comment.
Commissioner Laird?
When I was on the city council, I did a lot of liquor license transfers. And we had in the application and the statements that we required from people who filed was they had to prove to us they had the financial ability to run one of these establishments, because we know giving these licenses out, they're very valuable, and we want the people to succeed in those, because we do derive an economic benefit for the county and the city. And so we always had the people tell us how they intended to finance this, and that can be done in ways that doesn't destroy confidentiality, I think. But when we had people come in who had never been in the business, had never ran a business like this, didn't know what they were really going to do with it until they got it, we made them give us some sort of business plan. We didn't make them really. We asked them to do it because we have a job to do. We have to make sure that these licenses are issued to citizens who can take one of these licenses. Just like if you got licensed your car, the state makes sure you can drive the car and you're safe and you have a safe car. It's a similar thing on a liquor license. And so I know this young man has probably never appeared in front of the commission before and is here by himself. And I think he's hearing us. And what we're saying is that you're not being denied. It's the information that's been presented. We just need more information, and you certainly have the opportunity and the availability to do that if you so choose. Because I don't, personally, I know you're a decent, fine young man. And so, but in doing our job, we have to, there is a condition about keeping the public safe and sound and not doing things that may be a problem for the community and the neighborhood. And so we have to assure ourselves of that, or we're not legally doing our job. That's my feelings towards the whole situation.
Commissioner Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to reiterate what they're saying, basically, the information is a little sparse with your background and what we have in front of us and comments that you've made tonight. We're not certain. I would love to see you get this license, make a heck of a go of it, make it a fantastic business. I don't care if you have it a gentleman's club or not. You're legally allowed to. I'm not being a moral police. What I'm concerned about is this license, with it only being so few that we are able to have in this county, it has to be protected by us. This is our job. And if we don't feel comfortable that it is the best thing for this license, this is going to be the result. If you can come back, if you really want this, and you can come back and you can show us, and I don't care, again, I don't care what your business plan is or whatever, one way or the other. If you're going to be a gentleman's club, say, I'm going to be a gentleman's club. Here's where I'm getting liquor. Here's where da-da-da-da-da. Cool, whatever. If you're not, same thing for your bar and grill or whatever you're doing. Here's where I'm getting my equipment. Here's my maintenance. Here's my plan for, my 1 month, 2 month, half year plan. We've got to protect these licenses. So that's where I'm coming from.
Where I'm coming from is that we have an obligation to issue liquor licenses and to approve transfers in a way that promotes our economy, but I think more importantly for me, protects our citizens and the people of our county. And what I was surprised about is the lack of information the applicant apparently had about the liquor license operations at this same location. And all of the sheriff calls may be aware, maybe not aware of the homicide there while it was operating with a liquor license. The applicant's lack of information provided to us, the apparent lack of background and experience in this, in the liquor license arena. I don't think we've been provided with sufficient information. I think there are a bunch of unanswered questions. And I don't think it's appropriate that the commission approve this request. And I don't know how I'll look at it if the applicant comes forward in the future, but I know what we have right now is what we need to be voting on. And I think there's a significant lack of information and detail and perhaps even candor. So with that, all in favor of the motion to deny the application, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, the application has been denied. At this point, we are at our public comment section. Please feel free to come down and visit with us. We provide 5 minutes. As many of you are aware, you are not required to take all 5 minutes, and you're encouraged not to repeat, restate, re-argue, whatever what others previous to you have already said. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Come on down.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Carolyn Griffith. I live on Coates Road, and I've already given Michelle copies of the petitions. I can give you a current count. We're at 17,439. We're not actively out there running around getting petition signatures a lot anymore. Initially, we were, and I think, in fact, I can remember I was thinking about it on the way down here. When we got to 200, I was like, oh my gosh, we have 200 signatures. Can you believe it? And, you know, and now we're talking about probably more signatures than even some of you may have gotten to be elected, which I think is significant. But, and that's certainly not meant as a slam. It's just the public support that you know and you realize what it takes. Got a little issue here, but that's all right. The other thing I felt it was important to point out, I know that last week there was a lot of press about the limited mine operation and the Minerals Committee that met here in Casper. The Casper Mountain Preservation Alliance did get up, and we did talk about the impact of the limited mine operation that's being proposed for the Coates Road area. And I wanted to take this opportunity to reiterate, and I apologize if we've said it before, but we are not opposed to mining, and we're not opposed to extraction industries. There are many people that live up there that work in the extraction industry. We use gravel on our roads. We use gravel in our driveways. We understand the need for gravel and byproducts of sand and gravel mining. So certainly we're not opposed to that in the proper place. And that's not, it's not that it's a not in my backyard issue. It's a Casper Mountain issue. It's a water flowing off the mountain issue. It's impacts on homes that are 79 feet from the road issue, that the haul trucks will be driving by. So that's our concern, and that's why we felt the need to speak up, particular to the Minerals Committee, to talk about the impact of the limited mine operation. And without proper oversight and testing and some of the things that may be required, particularly so close to city limits and homes, that may be needed to differentiate in limited mine permitting. Not that they're a bad thing, but just that there are certain circumstances that they may need to consider adding some oversight. So that's our stance. I wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody, not only here, but anybody else out there in the public that felt that we were just anti-mining, and that's absolutely not the case. So I appreciate your time. Do you have any questions?
I just have one comment. If you didn't hear our work session, you all might want to go watch that. It's on YouTube. The YDOT guy was here, and I asked him about Coates Road and what would be needed if there was a gravel operation coming down from there. So he enlightened us a little bit, so you might want to listen to that and see what work you have to do there.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Other public comment?
Thank you. My name is Walter Mershad. I live at 6670 Coates Road, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. What I want to bring up is one word called silica. And first of all, I'd like you to know that I am totally opposed to Kyle True's effort to mine the front of Casper Mountain. Since March, we have been in front of you with a multitude of reasons why we don't want the mine on the front of Casper Mountain. I think you understand all that. But in order for you to make a proper decision, you have to have the facts, and the facts should be true. And I'm going to straighten something out tonight. I hope. There is concern for you and everybody in this community of the possibility of silicosis. I am not a doctor. I am not going to give you any idea who could get it, who can't, what volumes and what percents. That's not my reason for being here. My reason for being here is a geologist. There are people that are saying that there's no silica in granite. My answer is, give me a break. Casper Mountain is made of granite. Granite is composed of a multitude of minerals. The bulk of those minerals are quartz, different colors of quartz. different varieties of quartz, but quartz. There are numerous, you go to the library, there are numerous PhDs works, master thesis, USGS reports. The last one I just looked at was USGS report number 146, professional paper that discusses central part of Casper Mountain where samples were taken, and in the samples that were analyzed, the volume of quartz in the samples was between 18% and 60% of the granite is quartz. Now, during the Pleistocene, the glaciers did their thing and the water was eroded the gravel and the blocks, the rocks off the front of Casper Mountain, and that's what Mr. True wants to mine. There's some limestone mixed in there and there's a little sandstone in there, but the bulk of it is granite. The bulk of the composition of granite on Casper Mountain is quartz. Quartz is silica. Silica is quartz. That's all I want to get across. If you're going to make a proper decision, you have to have the facts, and the facts should be true, not something that somebody decided to say just to promote their side of an issue. You guys make the decision. I think maybe Cheyenne makes it. I don't know where the whole thing is going to end up, but I do want you to know that there is silica in granite. Thank you.
I do have a question. Sir, Mr. Marchant. Mr. Marchant, I wanted to ask you a question. You live on Coates Road. How close to the road do you live?
From
From your house to the actual Coates Road? Just give
I
me an
haven't
estimate.
measured, but 500 feet.
Okay, so let me tell you that you're probably aware of this, and I want to make sure you understand this. The testimony that counts from you all is when we have a hearing, if we have a hearing. So the things you want us to know, you will have to come back on those days, if they do take days, to come in and testify at a public hearing. These comments we've heard, we understand, but I want you to know you got to come back. You can't be sick that night. You can't say, I've already said it to them. They understand what I'm going to say. You got to come back and tell us during that. Same as Mr. True does. He said some things here, but he's got to come back to the hearing and tell us when Mr. Nicolason opens that hearing. The reason I asked you how close you were to Coates Road, and I see Carolyn left, but what I would like to know, and you guys can furnish me the information and the commission information, I want to know how many houses along Coates Road are closer than 300 feet to the road. Because one of the rules about mining operations, and I don't know how the Supreme Court would interpret this, is they can't have a gravel pit within 300 feet of a house. Now, you're going to have big trucks running down there. Now, the issue is, are the big trucks part of the mining operation? And how close are the houses to, when the truck comes down, is somebody's house 50 feet away? From here to the wall away, that kind of thing. So I'd like to know how many houses up there are within 300 feet of Coates Road. Just say.
I think Carolyn might be able to answer that better, but one of the questions that just popped in my mind, is it the actual mine or is it the section that he's mining in? I mean, where do you draw the, right now there were a series of flags that supposedly were 15 acres that Kyle wanted them mine. I walked it, it's 30 or 40 acres, so whoever did the surveying for him must have been drinking heavily. But when it gets down to how close, is it to proximity to the edge of the section that he's in, or is it the proximity to the edge of the mine that he's digging? I don't know that. Maybe you guys do, maybe somebody behind me does.
We haven't seen the application. So
Okay,
I
so-
think once we see
so-
that, we'll be able to, you and the group and the community and the commissioners will be able to evaluate that and then speak to that.
Yeah, I know there are homes that are real close to Coates Road. Maybe if Carolyn is back here, maybe she has the number, but
Well, and there are homes that are really close to that school section too.
yeah, it's,
So on
And
three
the
sides.
point I'm bringing is, okay, you give 15
But
acres.
that information has to be brought to the hearing and testified to at the hearing. This is all nice conversation. I enjoy seeing y'all and hearing y'all, but I gotta get it in your minds. You gotta come back to the hearing and testify.
Oh, Dallas, I'm ready. I've been fired up since March. So, you're not gonna throw any cold water on me. I can't wait. I've testified in hearings through federal court, and I'm ready to go after Mr. True.
Very, very, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
time.
Other comment? Good evening.
Chairman, Commissioners, Jason Knope, 4760 Ross Ridge Road. And I do appreciate my 5 minutes every time I get up here. And I do appreciate Laird reminding us to come back, and we will come back. But unfortunately, I'm not an attorney, so I only get 5 minutes. That other gentleman earlier today, he got a lot longer. So we have to come to give you more information. But we will be here to give you more 5 minutes on the day of the hearing. Speaking on the soils, I'll go off of the gentleman previous to us. So the alluvial deposits is either granite or silt. There's not a lot in between. So he's either going to take the big rocks and then he's going to break up all the silts in between it. And then that silt, when you go up there this time of year, it actually turns into talcum powder. So I don't know if you guys are basketball fans, but LeBron James. So I brought you guys some talcum powder, courtesy of maybe a True product in the future. But I wanted to bring you samples because just speaking of it is different than tossing this up in the air and watching how far talcum powder flies. So this is off of the school section. We labeled it samples CR01, so we're going to get a sieve analysis on it as well. But we're guessing 94% passing the 200 number 200 sieve. So I wanted to bring that to you guys today and let you know that once he breaks up all that rock from that silt, it's going to be almost impossible this time of year to keep enough moisture on it to stop it from flying when you have trucks driving over it. So I appreciate your time. Any questions for me?
No. What are you giving us? Is this white powder that you're providing to the government? All right. All right. So
You might want to keep that for the hearing. You might want to keep possession of it. Keep that.
Why don't you keep that? Don't think we particularly want it. But Jason,
Yes, sir.
it can certainly be evidence.
Absolutely
at the
it
time
is.
of the hearing.
Yep.
All
So I do, but I would like to talk about a lot more at the current hearing. So that's why every time I come talk about a little bit something different. So I appreciate your time.
Very good.
Yeah, we don't want anything dangerous up here.
Other public comment? Other powder? No. Any other public comment tonight? On any issue? All right, thank you. We will move into our commissioner comment section. Commissioner Laird, I think you have a few seconds left.
I really appreciate you, Mr. Chairman. And you're right, I sometimes make comments in the wrong segments, but I want to make sure citizens know that we hear them, and where we need to hear you officially is in the hearing, if there is a hearing. Because right now, as I understand it, it's still going on down at the state. We haven't had anything presented to us in any official form. We've had a bunch of inquiries for documents from your lawyers, and I think they're preparing those documents to be sent. And so there's a lot to be done and said about this issue. And 17,000 signatures of Natrona County residents isn't going to go unlistened to, because it will be impossible. And so it's a magnificent feat on this group's part. One of the things we don't have in our rules is, because I've checked, and I told you all this before, I've checked with other people who build gravel pits, and in different areas, they have different rules. We don't have too many rules here. One of the rules they have is that all of the roads leading to the operation have to be paved. And of course, it's an obvious explanation if you're driving 100 to 130,000 pound trucks. And I asked the YDOT guy about that today. He said the YDOT doesn't have, or the federal YDOT doesn't have much control over Coates Road because it's a county road, and they do over 220. And they are aware, and they pretty much said, you can hear what he says for yourself if you go listen to it, that they probably wouldn't even look into this until there's a permit and an understanding of what is in store for Mr. True and his company as to how he's going to, what roads he's going to use, what size trucks, how many trucks per day, all of that kind of thing. They would want to know all that information. And how to get things safely off and on 220 if it can even be done. So be sure and listen to that, because it was, I didn't understand what their involvement might or might not be. It's partially a city road, so they have a lot of involvement because the city part of the road connects to 220, the part that I think is paved. So there are a lot of elements to this that I think a lot of them have been discussed. Mr. True hasn't been back for a while, and he will have to come if he makes the application. And, if I had to guess, all of that's going to be maybe sometime this year, unless there's a lawsuit filed that slows everything down. And I know I've heard different comments about that, but talk is cheap until it happens. So the other issue that I was advised of, besides having to pave the road, was building what they call an acoustic berm around the mining operation. Now, this probably would come up as a possibility if everything gets approved and the courts rule on it, because it's probably some of it's gonna go to the courts, would be my guess as well. But one of the things they're required to build is what they call an acoustic berm, and I've mentioned that before. And this guy that told me they built one in a huge mining operation, he says, and I'm gonna go up and see it, it's in Canada. I'm gonna go up in October and see it. He says when we go up there, you won't even know there's a mine there, and you won't hear a mine. And apparently they have a crusher in there and everything. That mining operation is going to go on for 90 years, he said. And I said, well, what happens? He says, well, in 90 years, the residents of that area are going to have a nice lake. That's how he phrased it. And this berm, he sent me the plans on the berm. It's 47 feet high around the sides, and it has an entrance, but they've planted grass and trees and everything. And he says, I guarantee you won't know where it is when we come up the road. Now, this is in Canada, of all places. It took the mining operation 15 years to get all the permits and do all the things that were required. So different people who have experienced these for longer periods of time have different laws. Now, you have legislators. And so if you, and a lot of you who have examined this carefully, I'm sure you should be talking to your legislators, because some of Wyoming's laws are ancient and need to be revised to meet current problems. And I know some of these legislators would understand from this county 17,000 signatures, believe me. And you would probably have ears listening to you and looking for solutions on protection of people in the future. Not only you, but people down the road, your children, your grandchildren, because, I know Wyoming wind very well. And I know it doesn't respect anything that isn't nailed down pretty tightly, it'll blow it away. It'll blow away dust, dirt, rocks, things you wouldn't even imagine. So I can understand at the base of that mountain, when that wind blows, how dangerous it could be if it had to blow away harmful earthly ingredients.
Thank you.
So I hear all of that, and I'm now finished. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner North.
I think Dallas used most of my time. No, I don't yield. I did have an opportunity to go testify at the Minerals Committee, and though I testified in a different manner, reading through the proposed LMO changes, I was a little concerned about those. And for those of you who were there, you understood my concerns, because they don't just affect gravel and rock operations or sand operations. Some of their proposed changes, I recommended that they consider all mining operations within a certain distance of a municipality, or if the counties have the opportunity and they have zoning, conditional use permits, which most of the counties in the state don't, that they allow that operation, that the county to have more say in what goes on. What Commissioner Laird said is very true, though. You've got to work with your legislators. We do not have the authority to set law as commissioners, but what we do have is a ear of a lot of our legislators, and that's what we have to take to them. We have to present that information to them, because they do listen to commissioners a little bit more than they do the general public, because we represent the entire county. And that's why I believe that it's very important that we take a stand on potential rules or laws that they have coming up that are not conducive to what the people in our county want. And so that is something that, like I said, I will be in contact with the members of the Mineral Committee, and I'll be talking to them and see if there's any input I can have. I'll also be talking to our legislators, because they're the ones that are going to be voting on this, and they're the ones that are going to be looking at these changes as they come.
Commissioner Friel.
Myself and Commissioner Milne covered down on a annual meeting with Chevron here about a week ago out in Evansville. I'll probably get it wrong, but basically the land out there by Brookhurst and Evansville is being maintained. There's really not a lot going on there. We did talk about the wind farm out east of town. It looked like maybe third quarter of this year. They potentially may have some sort of a deal in the works to turn all that back on and actually feed back into the Western States grid. So that's about all I've got.
Very good. Commissioner Milne.
Two different topics, real quick. While the fair was a while ago, got results back. It was a fairly successful fair and rodeo. The gate admission was up about 18%. Overall, it was up 7% from last year, so it did really well. Really proud of the crew that was kids and Brian and everybody that worked out there to put that carnival and the fair rodeo on for this community. They worked really hard at it, and it shows, and I just want to give them my appreciation. The second part is Casper Mountain Road up to Muddy Mountains open, and it's paved, and it's really nice. Really nice. I would caution my two-wheel brethren out there not to take it too fast. Some of those corners sneak up on you, and some of the four-wheel vehicles can't manage to stay on the road and are kicking gravel up on the corners. So be very careful. But that road is fantastic. If you get a chance, run up there, take a look at it. The crew that did this, put the road in ahead of schedule, did a fantastic job. I can't say more for them. It was really good. But, yeah, it'll take you all the way up to the top of Muddy, basically.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a remarkable road, and if you haven't been on it, it's a lot different than how, we grew up, where the dirt started. And anyway, the contractor did a great job. Our road and bridge department and superintendent did a great job. So we're thankful. But there is a lot of gravel on a number of those corners, and that's a hazard not only for motorcycles but for bicyclists and vehicles too. So use some caution. Today we heard from Wyoming Department of Transportation. They come in front of the commission every year and go through their transportation improvement program, which is basically a 5-year plan. And they kind of tell us each fiscal year what projects they've got in front of them. You can go to their website now and make comment on any or all of those projects or any other portion of the STIP plan. It's fairly straightforward to find on YDOT's website. And so we encourage anybody in the county to make comment after reviewing that. We got an update on the Poplar Street work, and that may be done by the end of the year, even though the schedule allows it to go out for a full year past this October. But keep your fingers crossed. I think that it's moving a little bit ahead of schedule. The interstate I-25 project from McKinley to Poplar is more complicated. Those bridges are a challenge, and that's going to be certainly 12 months to 15 months from now. So a little more headache in front of us. Commissioner Laird mentioned that the gravel pit was mentioned to YDOT. They're generally aware of it. They haven't really been approached, haven't really been engaged at this point, but I think it was, we impressed on them the importance of this issue to the county and our citizens, and so we want them to take a close look at it, and they assured us, I think, that they would. The issue, state highway, it's under kind of a shared jurisdiction with the city of Casper. So YDOT will be working with the city of Casper for issues like ingress and egress from Highway 220, CY Avenue. And so do not hesitate to let the city of Casper also know what questions, comments, and concerns you have as they relate to Highway 220, CY Avenue, and ingress, egress, and trucks getting on and off. Some options were discussed, whether it's adding a lane or adding a stoplight, which does not sound like that's what they want done because of the impact on traffic flow. But it's really too early for them to assess anything because they, like us, don't have anything to really review. So at the appropriate time, they'll get engaged and work primarily with the city of Casper and somewhat with the county on what that ingress and egress looks like and what the complications are with that. Fire danger continues to be high, so our emergency services people work really hard to protect the public, protect your property, protect your houses. So lightning is a bad enough threat. Don't exacerbate the issue by throwing your cigarette butts out the window, please. That happens way more often than it should, and people should know better, and you still see people being idiots doing that. So anyway, that's not just burning some grass out there, but it can burn some houses down too. So